Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's training, today's episode. We're going to be going over, so we actually had to chop this down. This was going to be the top questions that we get in regards to LinkedIn, and there's like so many, but we kind of chopped it down to, I would say, three of the most impactful ones that we typically get on a reoccurring basis. And there's a reason why we picked these three. So over the years, we have noticed some of these same questions coming up over and over and over again. And we really want to go into deeper context, really recognizing these questions and obviously the concern that you may have in regards to these questions and things that you can do to overcome these specific hurdles in succeeding on LinkedIn. So, we're doing the top three questions that people ask us and how to succeed on LinkedIn. Before we do that, we've mentioned this in previous episodes. Content is one of the best drivers for everything on LinkedIn, whether it's visibility, whether it's engagement, whether it's lead gen, sales acquisition, all that stuff. In order to do that, you really have to come up with the right structure of your content. And we've made it very easy with a free resource that we call our high impact post template for LinkedIn. It's three post templates that you can use to structure your posts that get high engagement, high reach, high visibility. So if you're listening on the podcast, super easy. Just head to the description of the episode, click the link, and you can download the resource from there. If you're watching on social, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, just type the words high impact in the comments and we will send you the link directly so you can download it. Use the post templates, and we promise you they will get you more traction than you've seen before. So, what are the top three questions? I would say that the first thing that we get all the time is how do I get clients on LinkedIn without sounding salesy? What I'll say to this, I totally resonate with that because even myself, I feel like so many people are getting pitch slapped left and right every single day. And it's not even in the DMs anymore. You're seeing it now more often when people are looking to just connect with you and they add a note and they're just going right for it. They're just spamming you right in that little note they add to the connection request. My biggest advice to that is if someone is sending you a message or sending you a connection request that smells like spam or a pitch slap all the way, the easiest advice I give to people is do the opposite. The best way to not sound salesy on LinkedIn is to not be salesy, is to be value added, not just in your content, but in your messaging. One of the missing pieces for an individual's success on LinkedIn, and it's simple tweaks. I've had three clients recently that have all closed multiple five-figure clients, and it's really nice to hear all of that from the people I'm working with, and all of it has been correlated back to the way that they're messaging people. And all they're doing is they're reaching out to people in a very genuine way. And this is, just to let everybody know, the way that you get good at sales is by getting better at talking to people. If you really want to close more sales in your business, if you really want to help more people with what you provide from a service perspective, get to know more people. Find out what they're struggling with. Find out more about their business. I don't know about you, Nancy, but I just see it so often in today's society that people just want to kind of hit the easy button and not have to talk to people when still to this day, almost 13 years later, for myself, I'm still getting on discovery calls every single week looking to learn about people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn to see if maybe there's some overlap for collaboration or a joint venture, or if something I provide could be of a resource to them. So instead of trying to sell and pitch your audience in your content and your messaging, seek to connect to build a relationship first. The sale will follow.
Yeah, and I just like wanted to also like add in there, right? Because I think it's such a hard thing for people to understand. Like that LinkedIn is such a different platform than so many other platforms. And also, okay, they're sitting there thinking, well, I don't want to be spammy. I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to come across as someone who's trying to push their products, but I don't even know what the heck to post, or I don't know like what to share. And that's the thing, right? It's not like in our nature to really think, oh, well, let me just, give a bunch of value, right? Like we go, no, we don't want to give it all away. We don't want to give the tips away and we don't want to share. But the thing is showing you in action in your brilliance, in your expertise, in teaching what you know, that's where the magic is, right? That's where people look and go, whoa, okay, Scott knows his stuff whenever it comes to LinkedIn. He obviously eats, sleeps, and breathes it. I'm going to actually follow Scott because he's going to tell me some stuff, that has to do with LinkedIn. And you know what? If I need to work with someone on LinkedIn, I know my guy, right? So putting yourself out there and sharing insights, stories, wins, like giving the peek behind the curtain, how you work with people and the knowledge that you have is where it's all at. And again, that's actually why we created the Expert Content Society, which, we'll put a link to actually so you can join the wait list as well, getting ready to actually officially launch it. But, that's why we created a whole entire community where we can actually help you guys come up with posts every single month, not have to overthink it. We have a really awesome framework that we've built out that really pulls some of your brilliance out of you so that you can get it into a really nice formatted post that you can post on LinkedIn. So, how do you get clients without, sounding spammy and salesy? Don't sound spammy and salesy. Okay. Give value. Next one, Scott.
So a big question that we get, it revolves around content. How often do we need to post to stay visible on LinkedIn? Just to give you some facts before I kind of give you the answer. Number one, only 1% of the LinkedIn population produces one piece of content or more per week. 99% of the people on LinkedIn are what we call passive engagers, where they're not producing any content. They're just reading and not engaging, or reading and engaging in content. So only 1% of the LinkedIn population is producing one or more pieces of content per week on LinkedIn. Now, that number drops even further. The more content you produce, the more of a specific and niche select company you're involved with. So if you're posting twice a week, that number drops in half. If you're posting 3 times a week, that number drops by 2/3. So you can go on and on and on. But what Nancy and I always recommend is at a minimum 3 days a week posting on LinkedIn to remain visible. And why we say 3 days a week is the LinkedIn algorithm, which there are now 14 of them, is much slower in the content rotation than that of Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where there's more of a scrolling, rolling newsfeed where you're seeing multiple posts per day from one person. You don't really see that on LinkedIn. The lifespan of the engagement of a post on LinkedIn can stretch a full week. And to give you a prime example, when people conduct market research polls on LinkedIn, you can set it at a day, 3 days, 7 days, or 14 days. I always recommend 7 days. So that's a whole week that people can actually engage in that post. And guess what? They will. People will engage in that post for a full week. So you're getting 7 days of traction. So that's why you only have to do one poll question a week, which brings me to the very simple flow. So if you're just starting out on LinkedIn, you're a beginner, you've been on the platform for years, you post very sparingly here and there. Maybe you throw up a quote tile from Abraham Lincoln, or you reshare someone else's post. You need to start producing your own content. Now, much like what Nancy and I said in the very beginning, our resource, our high impact post template, will help you with one of those posts, because we always recommend a text only post once a week, typically on a Monday. You want to start it off with a nice text post on a Monday morning. We recommend between 7 and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending upon where you are in the world. You can do the math and kind of correlate your time from there. You can pre-schedule through LinkedIn scheduling tool, but using our high impact post template, which is in the description, or if you just type in high impact in the comments, we will send that to you. That will really kind of kick things off. It's a lot of storytelling. It's a lot of thought leadership, leaving people better. But more importantly, when you write and craft a proper text post on LinkedIn, you're building know, like, and trust through sharing stories, making yourself relatable to your audience. So we call this the bookend methodology, where you have two pieces of written content at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week. So you have one on Monday, one on Friday, and then in the middle is your market research. So you have your text post on Monday. On Friday could be another text post with an image. So you can do an image text post. Or if you like to write, you can do an article. So if you go onto LinkedIn's homepage, you'll see a button right there on the desktop that says write an article. So if you're someone that really loves to just dive deep into certain topics and you don't want to be limited to the 3,000 character limit that LinkedIn gives you with your text posts, you can write an article. You can do another text post. There's no right or wrong way. It's just making sure that you're providing value. But I would say that sandwich in the middle, the meat in the middle of that sandwich, is that market research poll question, which allows you to kind of dig deeper into some of the pain points that someone may be having within your network. So ask questions that provide the right answers for you. So just to give you an example, I did a poll question a couple weeks ago that basically said, if you could go back 5 years ago when you were on LinkedIn, what's one thing that you wish you would have started earlier? And the options were, optimize my profile, produce better content, connect with the right people, other comment below. That is a good reflective question to ask people, because now they're thinking about, things that are going better, but what can I do to improve? What do I wish I could do over again to be better? So ask questions that are going to provide the right answers for your network. You can do simple yes or no questions, but they should be related to the network of connections that you have built. I'm not going to ask health and wellness questions to a business coaching and consulting network. So it has to be all correlated. So you want some sort of text post on Monday, either an image text post on Friday and or article, and then right in the middle, you want to do that market research poll question. So that is the best way to stay visible on LinkedIn. Nance, what's the third most popular question that we get asked?
Yep. The third question is, well, what is the fastest way that I can grow my audience on LinkedIn? I just want thousands of leads right now. So the thing is,
Disclaimer.
yeah, okay. So first of all, like we really, really advocate and we really talk a lot about using LinkedIn the right way, right? Using the best practices, following the user guidelines, making sure that we're not coloring outside the lines. And that's what we always share with you guys. And that's, again, where I will say, if you guys are hiring companies or installing bots or scrapers or things that are basically promising you that you can have thousands of leads, in a matter of days, things like that, please don't do it. And again, when you are spammy and sending out messages to all these people at once and you're making all these connections, it does flag. Okay. It flags in LinkedIn system. It also is usually a red flag for people, right, who don't want to receive your emails or messages because you haven't really been invited. You haven't really made that connection. So the fastest way to grow your audience on LinkedIn is to, number one, be intentional, right? What are you using LinkedIn for? Okay. Are you using LinkedIn to grow your audience of, let's say it's a particular industry that you're working with. My agency, we work a lot with health insurance brokers. So if your number one intention is to connect with other health insurance brokers and you want to grow your network with health insurance brokers, then great. The fastest way to grow it is, one, get intentional on who the heck you want to connect with. Okay. So make sure that you have intention there. There might be other strategies that people do, and that could be connecting with referral partners. Okay. One referral partner, just think about how many people other people know, like they say for every one person, they know like 100 people. Well, if you get a really good power partner or referral partner, guys, that could be like quadrupled. So make sure that you set intention And then number two, make sure that you have a routine to consistently grow your network with those people. Scott teaches it, right? Again, you guys have probably heard it. If you follow anything Scott does, you cannot sit there and connect with 1,000 people a day. It will flag you, it will shut you down. You'll get a warning, you'll get a smack on your hand, and you might even get kicked off right away. You can only connect with so many people per week. Okay. You do a search, you want to connect with the right people. Again, Scott, if you want to share a little bit more on that. And then also, before Scott shares kind of his take on that, the number of people you can even connect with, you want to make sure that, guys, you aren't just posting and ghosting, right? When you're simultaneously connecting and growing your audience and you're posting content, make sure that you engage. You have conversations with people, right? We do want to get on calls, right? We do want to respond to the messages that they sent us when something resonates with them. So, Scott, do you want to kind of share, in a nutshell, kind of the connection piece, right? And really, again, like I just want to emphasize, you cannot connect with a ton of people. You will get your account shut down.
The two things that I want to add on before we end today's session and training or episode, that is, number one, you can only connect with 100 people per week. So I always recommend 14 to 18 connections per day. If you're using the free version of LinkedIn, you're limited to your searches, so only search maybe 2 to 3 times a week. The other days, you're going to connect through the My Network area. If you're using one of the paid versions of LinkedIn, you can search every single day. And you only want to connect with two types of people. Number one, ideal client, so the people that you serve that could benefit from your service, your product, your offering, course, whatever you have. The other are business allies, people that you can refer business back and forth with, could collaborate with, joint ventures with, affiliate with, and so on and so on. Now, the other thing that I will say in regards to building your ideal network, Nancy mentioned engaging. So I have a simple analogy. When you are producing content on LinkedIn and people start commenting back, you have to do something called what I call EAA. Engage, acknowledge, ask. So if I was to put a post up there and Nancy commented, thanks for sharing, this was great, I would engage, meaning I would like her comment, support her comment, love her comment. I would acknowledge her by hitting the reply button, which would tag her in the comment. And I would say, you are so welcome. Thank you for supporting the post. And then I would ask a follow-up question. What did you take away most from this post? Because what that's going to do is, number one, it's going to acknowledge her. It's going to build the know, like, and trust because you're letting the person know that you appreciate them. But it's going to further the conversation, which means Nancy's going to then reply back and share her biggest takeaway, which I would reply back, thanks for sharing. I'm glad that you took away so much from this. What that does is it creates conversation, but it also creates more visibility for you because if LinkedIn sees that people are actively talking with you in the comments of your posts, that means people are finding value in it. So they will show it to more people. So you'll get greater impressions, greater reach, greater visibility, and greater engagement. So there is no shortcut to any of this. LinkedIn is a slow burn. So make sure that you're producing those 3 pieces of content per week. You're connecting with those 14 to 18 people per day that really fit within either your ideal client and your business ally. But also remember, no selling and pitching, no spamming. If the message you're about to send stinks, don't send it. It's called the smell test. Be genuine, be authentic, be intrigued by the people that you're connected with, get to know them, build the know, like, and trust, build that rapport and trust that will allow you to build your business. So again, before we sign off today, Nancy mentioned our Expert Content Society. It's a private LinkedIn content creation community. If you'd like to learn more, we're going to leave a link in the description of the episode to join our waitlist for that when we officially open the doors at the end of July. If you're watching on social, just type the word waitlist and we'll send you that link. And as well, if you want the template and resource, you can find that in the description. But also just type the word high impact in the comments and we will send that to you there as well. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.